Please welcome Richard Gallagher.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everybody. Before we get going, I'd just like to see a show of hands. How many of you are nice people? Okay, that's most of you. That's good. I like working with nice people, especially in Boston in the middle of a snowstorm. There's a very important reason that I asked that question. Most people look at customer service as a matter of being quote-unquote nice people with a quote-unquote good attitude. To me, good customer service, excellent customer service, is a matter of very specific communication techniques based on known principles of behavioral psychology that dramatically change the way that people react to you, especially in your most difficult situations. I often speak to the green industry, and it's great to be back here in front of you here at New England Grows for a couple of reasons. First of all, my wife of 30 plus years has been steadily transferring our net worth into your industry over the years, and so it's great to look in and see where that money is going. The other reason, though, is that as I look at her and her gardening, it's not just a hobby for her, it's a passion and an addiction. I also know that it's a passion and addiction for many of you as well. A lot of you run family businesses. A lot of you have been doing this for generations. Even if you work for big organizations, you folks have a tremendous passion for what you're doing here. In fact, as we were driving here to Boston last night, dodging the snowstorm, my wife mentioned that there was a study that showed that flowers always make people smile, statistically. And so when it comes to being nice people, you don't need customer service training. You need plants. And you folks have that here, thankfully. So I'm not going to focus on how to be nice. I'm going to focus on some very specific techniques that will dramatically change the way that people react to you. So here's a good example of where we're going to be heading today. Many years ago, one of my first training gigs was for the Parking and Traffic Bureau of a major university. So what does a Parking and Traffic Bureau do? They tow people's cars away. And the reason they brought me in was because people were not very happy when their cars were being towed away. And so I asked them, what do you say to someone when we've just towed their car away? And they were all certifiably nice people just like you folks. And they said, we say things like, I'm sorry, sir, I'm afraid you shouldn't have parked here, and unfortunately you're going to have to pay a fine to get your car back. And I asked them, how do they react to that? And they said, really, really badly. So I'm going to teach you two things that I taught them. The first is to acknowledge and validate everything the other person is thinking and feeling. That's the easy part. Most of us can get our arms around the idea of acknowledging people, even though, as we're going to discover in a few minutes, most of us never ever actually do that in a difficult customer transaction. But here's the other thing. I also taught them to only say things to this person that benefits them. And so what I'd like you to do is, if there's people nearby, I want you to turn to the person next to you for the next couple of minutes and talk about what would you say to somebody whose car you just towed away that benefits them. So have fun. Okay, it sounds like things have quieted down to a dull roar. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that, first of all, I don't ever call on people. In a group of this size, I would guess there's maybe about 250 people here. There's statistically about 47 of you who would rather be pecked to death by ducks than speak up publicly in a group like this, and I respect that. But I'm wondering if any brave people want to share. What would you say to somebody? Anyone want to volunteer?
I can say what he said.
Okay, that'd be great.
He said to ask them how to help them out of this such painful situation. Do they need help in some way?
Do they need help? I love that. He's walking right down Broadway with what I'm thinking. Anybody else have any thoughts as to what they would say that benefits somebody whose car you just towed away? Yes?
You just had your car towed because there's a snow emergency, and if you didn't have it towed, you might have been hit by the truck.
Oh, so worse consequences. So far we have helpfulness and subterfuge. I like that a lot. Sounds good. Anything else? One more. Yes?
Yeah, you're lucky our company towed you versus the competitor.
I love that. That's good. So you're good. You're with the best company who towed you away. Okay, now let's make this really, really easy. Let's drill down on this and look at it from the customer standpoint. You've just shown up to get your car. There's no car there. What's the single biggest thing? Everybody shout out in unison. You're worried that your car has been stolen. So here's what they now say to people. Your car's in a safe place. I know where your car is. I can help you get your car back. I get frustrated when situations like this happen to me, so I know how you feel. These aren't techniques that I just made up. This is based on a very powerful principle of behavioral psychology known as social cognition. What that means in English is we all have an instinctive friend versus foe reflex. It's a survival instinct, and it kicks in within the first 15 seconds that we talk to somebody. And we all, as you know, have very different reactions to friends versus foes. Because people process the words that they hear before they even process the meaning of the words, we're choosing words that flip the friend versus foe reflex in your favor every time. Whether you are wholesale or retail, whether you're in landscaping or you're a garden center operator, you folks all know, because you have such a passion for what you do, that your relationships with your customers are the lifeblood of what you do. I don't need to lecture you about that. But here's the thing that many of you don't know, that I hope you're going to take away from today. And that's that good service is not a matter of exhorting people to be nicer to people. It's a thoughtfully composed performance of specific skills.